Okay, I'm going to talk to you now about semicolons and how we use semicolons. The semicolon is often thought of as one of the most difficult pieces of punctuation to use correctly. So I'm going to try and keep this video quite simple, and then I'm probably going to upload another one a bit later on, giving you a bit more of a complex way that you can use semicolons in your writing. Okay, so semicolons, we mentioned before in our comma splicing video that they are stronger than commas. So they can hold up two complete sentences and they can join the two sentences together. So in order to use a semicolon, you have to have two complete sentences. So I'm just going to look at my first example to show you what I mean by that. So the back garden was in a terrible state. It hadn't been used for months. So we could quite easily, well, we should put a full stop in here and a capital letter here. These are two independent clauses. They are sentences that stand alone equally. So we could put a full stop in there. But we could also, if you wanted to be really clever in your writing, you could also pop in a semicolon. The semicolon can hold up those two sentences. Now, there are two rules to remember when you're using a semicolon. Rule number one, each part has to be a complete sentence. So each part has to be able to stand alone. So you need to be able to put a full stop in the middle of them, and they both make sense. The other rule is that the two parts, so the first part and the second part, they have to be related to one another. So this second part has to be about the first part. So we can do that in this one because we're talking about the back garden and the state that the back garden was in. The back garden was in a terrible state. It hadn't been used for months. So we're explaining why it's in a terrible state. The two are clearly related. So that's a really good example of how we can use a semicolon. Now, sometimes semicolons can sometimes replace conjunctions in a sentence. And we could put a conjunction probably into the second one, actually. Year 6 were amazing. And if I put in an and there, year 6 were amazing and they had worked hard all year, we could use a semicolon here instead of the and. But equally on this one, these two could be standalone sentences. So we could have year 6 were amazing, full stop. They had worked hard all year, full stop. Both are separate sentences in their own right. So we could join them together with a semicolon. We're just going to check our two rules again. Are they linked? Year 6 were amazing. They had worked hard all year. Yes, because this part is talking about how well year 6 had done. And are they standalone sentences? Yeah, I'm going to do the old trick of walking into a room. Imagine you walk into a room, you open the door and you say, year 6 were amazing. And you close the door. It makes sense. You're not going to be saying to that person, what is she talking about? Second part, they'd worked hard all year. Makes sense on its own as well. Close that door again. So we know that they're both sentences. They both make sense on their own. They can stand alone. We can join them with a conjunction of and, or we can replace that conjunction with a semicolon. We wouldn't put the two together. So we wouldn't have year 6 were amazing, semicolon, and they had worked hard all year. We would take the and out if we had one in our sentence. Okay, so that's a bit of an opener on how we can use those semicolons in our sentence.